We're here.
Get started, but I just want to let y'all know, man, we still fighting for justice for Walter Wallace Jr. Yeah, Walter Wallace Jr. We still fighting for Mumia and free my humble many strong, man. We not giving up. We taking control. We getting things in order. So keep supporting. When you see Mumia, make sure you support. When you see Dom, make sure you support. You already know what's like outside. Make sure you support.
Yes, come down, show support, and stand in solidarity for Mumia, show all the political prisoners. What was a political prisoner? He ain't even here. But they had a mission behind all that shit. Fuck police, fuck the police. Bring your ass here. This is y'all. What y'all
we all political prisoners, even though we ain't in the thing. Any wrong, anything around us, thank y'all for tuning in. Stay tuned in, stay locked in. Philly for real. Good news, good music, good news, good vibes.
There's another box with them in it. There's another box.
Got my number.
But I'm
And I'm away. I'm pulling up down here. Yes. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Peace, everyone. How y'all doing? Is there anybody who can hold this banner, this lovely, lovely banner? We can have 2 people. Thanks, Dom. Is there a second person? Awesome. Thank you. Just,
anybody
go over somewhere it can be seen, just so it can be seen.
Anybody can hold this banner, please.
We have any other people that can hold banners? Any other banner holders?
Come on now.
Come on.
We're not going to free Mumia sitting down.
No, we got to get up.
Come on now. Jeez.
Brick by brick, wall by wall. We're going to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. Brick by brick, wall by wall, we're going to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. Brick by brick, wall by wall, we're going to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. Welcome to Philadelphia. Whenever I say that, I say it with a little irony, because when I say that, I think of that. I think of that image. I think of that image that reminds us of the way the city of Philadelphia responds with great aggression and violence to freedom and freedom fighters. So when I say welcome to Philadelphia, there's definitely some irony in there. There's love because we love you and we love each other, but there's also the reality of what this city of Philadelphia is, what these governments are, and all of these invalid, illegal places, these fake borders that were established by these colonizers on this stolen land. It ain't even Philadelphia. It's just how we know it, because that's how the colonizers have taught it. But we know that this is not Philadelphia. We are in Lenape territory. This is Lenape-Hoking. We know where we are. If you didn't know, now you know. So we're going to get started. How about this? Is this amazing? Yeah! We just want to give some thanks to Jacqueline, who envisioned this and did this work, and to all the people who supported her vision and helped her to create this amazing, amazing tribute to our dear brother who is incarcerated illegally and who should have never been incarcerated and long ago should have been released, when we recognize the truth and the reality of this system that is full of no justice. And when there is no justice, when there is no justice, there is no peace. And that is why we come out here constantly creating trouble, good trouble. That's why we come out here. We want them to know that as long as we're not safe, they're not safe. If we're not safe, they are not safe. Freedom for all is the only way that anyone can have freedom. All of these prisons and this entire prison system is it's all wrong. There's no justice, and they all need to be shut down. We need to eradicate this entire prison industry, and we need to start in the process of doing that by removing and liberating our freedom fighters, those individuals who are targeted and in these prisons specifically because of the willingness and the courage that they have to speak truth to power. We cannot allow that if a person is out here fighting for our freedom and exposing the truth, and they get captured and kidnapped by this system, that we allow them to sit and rot. That is not allowable. We cannot. We have to show each other that we will fight. We will never give up. That if any one of us gets taken, that the rest of us will fight, and that the fight will happen, and thus all of us are gone. That there is a permanent, perpetual fight that will happen as long as they take any of us. We have an obligation and a duty to show that to ourselves and each other, and the only way we do that is to fight for those that have already been captured. That is why we come out here and we say, free all political prisoners. Free them all. Free them all. Free them all. Free them all.
Come on now.
If you are not fighting for our political prisoners, anything you're doing is bullshit. Period.
Anything you're doing.
Bullshit.
Anything. What happened? I don't know what just happened. I don't know if it's the rain.
We good.
I should have also brought my blowhorn, huh? I'm gonna try cording it.
I can hold this. I'm going to take care of this.
Yeah, I just gotta go in my bag. I have a thing to cover my camera.
You got adequate enough cover? Is something bigger for you?
If someone can hold this for me, that'd be great.
Yeah, you definitely got cover.
Thank you.
One. Do we have a second
Something
umbrella?
going on with the speaker. Here we go. We got a little better. Okay.
Because that's my umbrella.
All right.
And I'm gonna have to at some point.
You ain't that cute, son. I'm sorry.
I can't compete with that. I can't compete with that.
Free Mumia!
I don't even know how to put this thing on. I just tired.
You need to cover that sound. There we go. Cover that sound system.
Okay, so we got a lot of rain coming,
Ancestors testing y'all today.
and our crowd is kind of tight. Oh, I see you, Johanna. So, do we want to go under here? Yeah.
You wanna go stand over there? If we get a little more moving, we're gonna move underneath of this tower. So we can get help moving. We got the food. We want everyone to know that the food is for everyone.
I was like, ah, shit. Alright, I think I'm good.
What?
Sorry.
You want to go up the ramp? You want to go up the ramp? Going up the ramp. Slowly, don't worry about the rain right now.
Ourselves a little higher. Black Lives Matter! 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 So the name of this event today, where are the flyers? So I make sure I say it correctly. In the spirit of Consuewella, Africa, we must all move to free Mumia Abu-Jamal and all political prisoners. Now, we named this way intentionally. In the spirit of Consuewella, because our sister Consuewella Africa, a member of MOVE, who lost 2 of her daughters when the city of Philadelphia intentionally murdered the members of her family and community by dropping a bomb in 1985. That's what these Welcome to Philadelphia shirts represent and remind us of. That's what this banner reminds us of. And all those years ago, Consuewella had to suffer learning and hearing that her beloved babies were murdered in an inferno where not only did they drop the bomb, and you know, we don't like to talk about it because it's terrible, it's so horrible, but we also have to talk about it because we can't let anybody forget what they went through.
That's right.
And we can't let anybody forget what these motherfuckers over here did on purpose. And we cannot let those who suffered from that violence be forgotten. So we have to talk about it even though we don't want to. We don't want to have to remember this. But the reality is that they dropped a bomb on this family, including these children, and when they tried to escape the inferno, they shot bullets, ensuring that they could not escape.
Straight out of the clans. That's right.
And many of the children, their parents, were imprisoned and had to, while they were imprisoned for being revolutionaries, had to learn of this horrible, horrifying death of their children and their beloved. And then had to go through decades with that memory and had to try to heal from that and try to find a way to have a normal life. And then just this year, we learned that the remains of some of the babies were held without the knowledge of the family and used as teaching devices and research tools. These were people, children, loved by their family and friends, treated in this way. And the pain of learning that and all of what happened in '85, coming back up again, was a fighter, a freedom fighter, a revolutionary. And that is why we say, in the spirit of Consuewella Africa. That is why we say, in the spirit of Consuewella Africa, we must all move to free Mumia Abu-Jamal and all political prisoners. It is the duty and responsibility of all of us to do that. So we have a few people here that are going to speak with you all about a range of topics. One of the things that we understand as being very important is our connections. So we have to make connections in our fights and in our struggles. We have a bunch of people who are going to speak, but the way we want to start is really just by honoring and remembering Consuewella. And so there will be an actual memorial, but this today is so close, and it's the first real gathering we've had, and we have to remember Consuewella in this moment, and we want to. So I just would like to invite us all to have a moment of silence and remembrance of Consuewella and all that she fought for and that her spirit continues to build us up for. She is now one of our ancestors, and we know that she is here looking over us, encouraging us to fight on. So let's have a moment of silence. And if we can have silence during this moment of silence, we would appreciate it. Thank you. So we are going to hear from a few people. There are people who have traveled here from New York, people who are here all the time doing the work, and we're going to hear from different among them. And I would like to invite, to get us started and to get us grounded, I would like to invite Johanna. Johanna. Johanna traveled here from New York. And Johanna knows, oh, thank you. Johanna knows and can give us so much information about Mumia's case. And so we thought it would be great to start with Johanna, because Johanna can ground us in the right information. So there's so much that Johanna knows and so much that Johanna can teach us about what we're fighting for. And she's going to give us some of that right now. Thank you.
Woo!
All right. There is nothing that's going to deter us from freeing Mumia Abu-Jamal and freeing political prisoners, but also nothing is going to deter us from the larger fight for freedom. Not even the rain.
That's right.
Not even the nativists who are out celebrating July 4th. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out. We're out here on July 4th weekend because we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. And we're coming together at the dawn of a moment of transformation brought upon by you and me, ordinary people in American society. Just 2 years ago, there was no one talking about the abolition of the police in America. Or there were some folks, but we were isolated. And part of what we've learned in the last year is that, as Mumia says, social movements change history. Why? Because when people hit the streets, when people engage in militant action, they change the terms of political debate and discussion in society. And they raise up a new politics and a new morality. And we start imagining and dreaming different ways of organizing society. And ultimately, the struggle to end mass incarceration and the struggle to abolish prisons raises the question, how do we want to organize society? Do we want to throw police and repression and prisons at problems? No. Or do we want to lead with love and humanity? Yes. That's ultimately what this is about. And the people who've raised these questions, like Mumia Abu-Jamal, like Sundiata Acoli, like Mutulu Shakur, like Russell Maroon Schultz, like Leonard Peltier, that's why they're imprisoned. Because they raised fundamental questions about the organization of society. And as such, they posed a threat. These were people who were calling for system change. These were people who understood that you can't really negotiate with capitalism, right? That you can't really negotiate with white supremacy and racism. That ultimately, we're talking about the fundamental reorganization of society, and for that they were targeted. Before I talk about the case, I want to say something, because we're gathered here under rain on a gloomy day when most of us would probably be with our families, friends, or just hanging out and kicking back. But we're coming together because ultimately their forces are organized. Their forces are strong. They've got all the money. They've got all the power. And what we need to do is to build community and a culture of resistance and a culture of discipline and consistency. Because ultimately, they are the few and we are the many. They are the few and we are the many. So part of what we're doing here is protesting against Philadelphia and Pennsylvania and the state. But we're also building a new morality, a new ethic, a new humanity for moving forward with our movements. And we're doing so on the day that Mumia 40 years ago was sentenced. That's why we're gathered here. We're gathered here because Mumia was sentenced to death row the day before July 4th. He was railroaded to death row the day before July 4th because the judge said folks needed to celebrate July 4th. And he was sentenced to death. I'm going to end in a minute. I just want to ask a question because we're a small group here. Are there any burning questions about Mumia's legal situation right now? We usually talk, but we don't ask, what are your questions about Mumia's legal situation? So can I get a question or two about Mumia's legal situation? I have you, and yes, please.
What will it take to get him free?
So the question is, what will it take to get Mumia free? Okay, that's one question. I'm going to take maybe three. Yes?
What's happening at the precise moment right now?
So the question is, what exactly is happening at this precise moment? Where are we in the legal case? And finally, yes?
What's the deal with the removal of Judge Tucker? What's that all about?
What's the deal with the removal of Judge Tucker? Woo! All right. Well, let's start with that question. What's the deal with the removal of Judge Tucker? What we know is that Judge Tucker, in the 40-year history of this case, is the only judge based in Pennsylvania who has essentially said the truth about this case. So Judge Leon Tucker, who's no friend necessarily of Mumia Abu-Jamal, is the only judge in the history of this case in Pennsylvania that has made a decision that has honored the law as exists in all of its imperfections. So if Tucker is being removed and targeted, it is definitely because judges in this town are bought and sold by the Fraternal Order of Police. Judges are elected in Pennsylvania and they are funded by the Fraternal Order of Police. And so if you stand out of the line established by the Fraternal Order of Police, you're going to be targeted. Where are we in the case? So in 2016, the Supreme Court established a new law known as the Williams Law, or the Williams versus Pennsylvania law, that essentially said that you can't be both prosecutor and judge in the same case. So this is a groundbreaking Supreme Court decision known as Williams versus Pennsylvania that establishes the parameters of judicial bias. Now you might ask, how is it that it took the Supreme Court all these years to establish the rules around judicial bias? It did. 2016 gives you a sense of what white supremacy looks like in America. That case involved a judge by the name of Ronald Castile, who was in the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. Ronald Castile had been a prosecutor in Philadelphia, elected by the people of Philadelphia. He later became judge and the head of the highest court in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So he prosecuted cases and later reviewed those cases for violation. That means that there was a conflict of interest in all of the cases that he both prosecuted and reviewed as a judge. On that basis, we took Mumia's case to court because the judge in the Williams case, Ronald Castile, was the same judge in Mumia's case, Ronald Castile, who reviewed and denied Mumia's appeals. So the reason why Judge Tucker, in fact, sided with Mumia was because we packed the courts. Every time we went to court, and we went to court many times, we packed the courts. We packed the courts. People struggled in the streets and in the courtroom. And this was also at the time of Black Lives Matter. So there was a debate and discussion about the role of the police in American society, and everyone in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia knows that Mumia was framed by the police in cahoots with the DA's office. So this compelled Judge Tucker to do the right thing. In fact, we did not win on Williams. we didn't win on Williams proper, but he actually said, even though we can't give you Williams, there is a clear case of judicial bias in this case, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and its laws say that if there's a conflict of interest, a judge must recuse himself. And this judge did not. So we prevailed. We prevailed, and what this means is that all of the appeals in Mumia's case, from 1996 to 2012, all of them that he presented to this judge and that this judge denied have been reopened. All of them. That's a victory for us. I'm going to end in a minute. So this has never happened before. So the case got taken out of Tucker. This is just procedure. And it was sent to the Superior Court for review. That court took a year to review and said, you know what? This is new. We've never encountered this. This really needs to go back to the original court where the judge had a conflict of interest, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So the case has been sent back to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which is filled with a lot of white supremacist judges, essentially. Now, the most important thing in this case and where we are is that we are waiting for the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to decide what it's going to do. Whether it's going to now listen to arguments around all of these appellate issues, or whether it's going to remand the case back to the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas. Why? Because over the course of the Williams case that we brought up to the Pennsylvania Court of Common Pleas, where Judge Tucker was the judge, what emerged was new evidence. 6 boxes of new evidence in Mumia's case emerged. In that box, there is a letter handwritten by the lead witness in Mumia's case, whose name is, what's the name of the lead witness?
Chobert.
Robert Chobert. Robert Chobert, the star witness of the prosecution, who essentially is asking the prosecutor, Joe McGill, where is my money? Where is my money? I've been trying to contact you about my money. When am I going to get my money? Which suggests that he was bribed. This is nothing new. We knew this, but now we've got the evidence. So in the court system in Pennsylvania and across the country, only the lower courts can review new evidence. And by the way, that is a product of Southerners' influence in the courtrooms after the Civil Rights Movement. So after the Civil Rights Movement, federal judges got a little more power to investigate new evidence. But the rightward shift in American society made it such that that power was taken away from the federal judges and given back to the local courts, which are in cahoots with the police and with the establishment at the local level. So what we are demanding, what our lawyers are demanding, is for the case to be remanded back to the lower courts immediately to investigate new evidence. And the person who should have who should review this case is Judge Tucker. This case belongs to Judge Tucker, and that's our demand. That Judge Tucker be allowed to review the new evidence in this case, which suggests that the cops and the prosecutors bribed witnesses to frame Mumia. That's where we are. How are we going to win this? In the streets. We need to build a movement here locally, in the country and around the world. One in which Mumia is someone who's known by everyone in this country, in this town. So we need to go into our communities. right here in Philadelphia. Show a movie, have a meeting, invite a speaker, each one teach one, learn about the case, and let people know that Mumia is the native son of Philadelphia. Mumia is the man who, as a journalist, defended the MOVE people and stood against their persecution by the police and its establishment. Mumia is a former Black Panther, a veteran Black Panther, a young person who believed in freedom, who fought for a different world, and who led with love in the process of fighting for a new society. Mumia is us. Mumia was targeted because he stood on the right side of history, because he had the courage to challenge the powers that be. And if we let them get away with keeping Mumia in prison, we're establishing a precedent for us to be the next targets of the state. Thank you. Free Mumia. Free all political prisoners, free them all! Free them all! Free all political prisoners, free them all! Free them all! Thank you, Johanna. I really appreciate you laying that foundation. It was really great that you took questions. And Johanna spoke for a little while, and that was great because that education is so important. You know, a lot of times we try to keep speakers down, but I really appreciate and think that it was really important for us when we're out here working in the streets, fighting for Mumia, that we are informed, because a lot of times people know in their hearts that this situation is wrong, but they don't know the details. And so having someone who can share those details and make people be able to understand and speak about what's going on is really important. So thank you so much for that, Johanna. Now, there is a very strong connection between Mumia and MOVE, as Johanna mentioned. So we wanted to speak a little bit about Consuewella, who is a member of MOVE, and also about Mumia. And now we want to hear Mumia speaking about Consuewella. So I'm going to play just a quick clip right now.
Africa presenting. For many, the name Consuewella Africa is, like many of the Africans, about interchangeable. For unless you spent time with them, how could you know them? Consuewella, called Swella by her MOVE brothers and sisters, was a woman who radiated strength and confidence. My memories of her caused me both to chuckle and to ruminate. Once, while on a bus going down Powelton Avenue, I saw her sunning in the summer heat, surrounded by babies. I quickly grabbed my camera and clipped off a shot, and she tore into me, cursing, furious at the intrusion. Secondly, I interviewed her several times, and one stands out more for her answer than for my question, which, honestly, I can't remember. She was describing MOVE and said they were the children of God. The children of God. Who can forget that? Swella was the mother of 3 kids, Tree, Netta, and Lobo, a boy. The 2 girls, remember May 13th, 1985? Again, who can forget? Tree and Netta were among the 11 men, women, and children slaughtered, martyred, and bombed by the city of brotherly love and its federal and military co-conspirators. Now we learn that this region's leading universities have been essentially plagued with the bones of Consuella's daughters, Tree and Netta, not for years, for decades. What must this have done to Swella, their mother? We don't have to imagine. For a doctor examined her in her final hours and found nothing wrong with her physically, Consuewella Africa was named MOVE's Minister of Confrontation. And she rumbled in and out of jail to promote MOVE's beliefs. She fought her entire adult life for freedom. And recently, after the news about her daughter's bones emerged, she fought for this commentator's freedom as well. Consuewella Africa remembered. From Imprisoned Nation, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal. These commentaries are recorded by Imprisoned Radio.
Okay, and continuing in that spirit, we're also going to hear a tribute to Consuewella that's going to be read by Comrade Cindy, who also is the lead with Food Not Bomb Solidarity. And if you see, there's a table of snacks around here. Everywhere we go, we always have some snacks, and we always have some water and things. And that is Food Not Bomb Solidarity. Always there to make sure the people are good. We want you to know that that's there, and that this is welcome for everyone. Everyone here is welcome to grab a snack, grab some water. And the Gatorade in particular is here for our unhoused fam who is out here sometimes in these sweltering heat. And so we just wanted to make sure we brought something specifically for them. So please refrain if you don't need it from taking that. But any of the other snacks and waters are here for you. But Consuewella is now going to read you some words about, Cindy is going to read you some words about Consuewella. I'm sorry. I'm looking for the match to this when we were rushing out from. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, I'm Cindy. Is this working all right?
Just let it go.
And let me point out to you that our wonderful person who is facilitating. It's not working.
It's working, but it may not be able to get louder because of the rain. Hold it closer to your mouth. I can hear it coming through.
All right, that our wonderful person who is MC is right up there, is painted right up there. That's Yane with the beautiful smile. Just wanted to point that out to everybody. This tribute was written by Dr. Sandra Joy, who has done and is doing lots of work with imprisoned people, with incarcerated people, exonerees, and has in fact witnessed a couple death executions and has written books. And she teaches down at, all right, and she teaches, I'll close as I can, and she teaches down at Rowan University. And she wrote this as a tribute to Consuewella. We are here today to honor the life of a truly powerful woman and someone I am proud to have called my dear friend for many years, Consuewella Africa. From the time that Consuewella Africa joined MOVE in the early 70s, she was dedicated to the teachings of John Africa. She was uncompromising and unapologetic with her stance for life. While she was being held by the system as a political prisoner, Consuewella was devastated by the murder of her two daughters, Tree, that's Katricia, and Netta. When the system dropped a bomb on the MOVE family, Consuewella had so much taken from her, yet she has always persisted in the struggle against the system for justice. I met Consuewella when she was released from prison and have marveled at her tenacity over the nearly 30 years that have passed. since her release in the fight to protect her family, all while honoring the lives of the MOVE family members who were stolen by the system. The recent exposure of those who were responsible for stealing the bones of the MOVE children at the scene of their murder in 1985 to display them in such a callous manner in classrooms and museums was only the most recent assault of the system against Consuewella and the rest of MOVE. To learn that the remains of her two daughters had been treated with such disrespect once again completely devastated Consuewella, rubbing salt in her wounds that have never been able to fully heal due to the repeated attacks against MOVE. I last saw Consuewella on May 15th when she stood publicly to denounce the system for their foul treatment and the complete disrespect they showed the victims of the MOVE bombing and the surviving family members. I thanked her then, and I'm thanking her now publicly once again for the dedication that she maintained throughout her life, for speaking the truth to power, for defending all of life, of all people, not just MOVE, but all of life. Consuewella inspired me to maintain my fight for justice, for life, for many, many years. Though we have lost her in the physical form, we are still able to feel Consuella's spirit and power with us today. I hope you will all join me as I work to honor her in my work as an activist against the corrupt system. We still have lots of work to do, and the best way that we can honor Consuewella is to fight harder, to persist in the struggle in the way that she lived her life for many years. Consuewella was fierce, yet she was just as fierce in the way that she loved as she was in the way that she fought against the system. Let's follow her example and fight for each other with love, just as hard as we fight against those within the system who assault life. And that's from Dr. Sandy Joy. And I also wanted to say to people, and this is from Facebook, Mumia Africa was rushed to the hospital this morning, and doctors say that her oxygen level is what's troublesome. And and the last thing I wanted to say is, people might wonder, and there's a couple people wearing these shirts, Free Ann, and I just wanted to lift up the name of Ann Smith. And there's a couple people wearing these shirts, Free Ann, and I just wanted to lift up the name.
So one team, I and I, Muslims that reference the roster is all intertwined. I'm God body, call my soul divine. My hair naughty, call it nappy twine. Intelligent rhymes, call them smart lines. Much like a smartphone, but closer to home like a landline. I'm in a war zone, landmine, sun's gone, never coming home. We practice the status quo, then get astonished when we reach just what they sow. Holy experience can mother the soul. Holy experience can mother the soul. I said, what side are you on, my people? What side are you on? What side are you on, my people? What side are you on? What side are you on, my people? What side are you on? When I had to scream black pride. Oh, we got a beat. Can y'all hear it? Keep this little black pride in your system. Street flow assist. Yeah, blow a bit. No, I'm not controlling, just trying to take a hold of it. Climbing up the pole, get gone, take a hold of it. Bring new some, bring new some. If you ain't scared, boy, do something. Get gone, take the power back. Black is where the power's at. Fact is that I'm fighting back. Using words, rhyme, predicate, verb. Not swerving up on the curb, trying to get up out the left lane. position. Using my intuition, don't suggest you go against it, huh? Wait, hold up. Start when I say Black Lives Matter, man, y'all repeat the words. We say Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. We say Trans Lives Matter. Trans Lives Matter. Palestinian Lives Matter. Yeah. Oh. I got black pride in my system. Racism gon' be my victim. I got black pride in my system. Patriarchy gon' be my victim. I got black pride in my system. Racism gon' be my victim. I got black pride in my system. Patriarchy gon' be my victim. Who the victim? You the victim. They the victim. Ooh, who the victim? They the victim. You the victim. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. Well, I can dab on them and polish slab on them. Michael Jackson really bad on them. We looking good, black bad on them. My black skin is trending. Check your followers and know who your friends is. I'm lit to no end in one word. Winning, 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 winning. Well, check my cocky in your rearview mirror. I'm no contender, you cannot compare him. The end is coming, I can hear it nearer. And spit that black shit, make the world experience. Like a picture on the wall, eyes follow down the hall, make your skin begin to crawl as the spirit disses on you, call it paranormal. The ancestors looking for you, call it paranormal. But ain't nothing about the system ever normal. Yeah, nothing about the system's ever normal. Ain't nothing about the system ever normal. Ain't nothing about the system ever normal. I got black pride in my system. Racism gon' be my victim. Put your hands together. Black pride in my system. Let's get it. Patriarchy gon' be my victim. I got black pride in my system. Racism gon' be my victim. I got black pride in my system. Patriarchy gon' be my victim. Who the victim? You the victim. They the victim. Ooh, who the victim? They the victim. You the victim. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. When I had to scream black pride and describe just what matters about black lives, is you say all lives matter. All lives ain't the same. All lives ain't the same. Well, I had to own my skin. 400 years, I couldn't say it, had to hold mine in. So now as I think about it and I hold my pen, I summon all my kin that drowned in the Atlantic, left children frantic, running about looking for their mamas, with papas who had forgot the language of power. So in their honor, I slay black pride. I pride died, laid to the side straight, slay black pride. I Anthony Wells, Mega Evans, Emmett Till, slay black pride. I Ramona Africa, Pam Africa, Consuewella Africa, John Africa, Mike Africa, slay black pride. I slay black pride. I slay black pride. Patriarchy gon' be my victim. Who the victim? They the victim. They the victim. Ooh, who the victim? They the victim. They the victim. Ooh, ooh.
All right, y'all, give it up to Black Rap Producer.
Y'all can follow me on IG, BLAK_RAPP. We got an event coming up August 9th. Definitely want all bodies and hands on deck.
Thank you. So we're gonna keep it moving. You know, this mural here, I mentioned it. You notice on the mural there are names, and the names on the mural are the names of people who have been taken from us by this violent ass system. One of the names that is on this mural is our good brother Walter Wallace Jr. His name is right there. You see the Wallace Jr. and they're all the way around. You can see it all the way around on all the others. Our brother Walter Wallace Jr. And his wife is here, and she is going to say some words to you all. So show her the love and support that this city has for her and the loss that they suffered because of this system that we are fighting against. Come on, y'all.
was just a regular citizen in this city, trying to be like, I was just a regular person in this city. Now, they done forced me to be in this corrupt system, and it's like I became a part of this because y'all, like, I didn't want to be a part. This is not my scene. And it's like, how do y'all do this? Like, how do y'all stay strong to fight this fight? Because this is not for your average person. Like, you really got to be strong, and I'm trying. I ain't there with how y'all know is yet, but I'm trying to get there.
We're going to help you get there.
And like how they said all this is connected. The bombing happened in West Philadelphia. My husband was murdered in West Philadelphia. So it's like, and it's with the police. Like they the cause of everything. Like, and they the criminals. And they not getting arrested. They just running wild. Like they the wild animals. They need to be in the jungle somewhere. Mm-hmm. And it's like these courts and stuff. They the animals too. They let them do. They let them do whatever they want. And it's like, how are we supposed to be law-abiding citizens and they not law-abiding citizens to us? Like, we supposed to respect them, but they don't respect us. And it's like, I'm like, this fight that I'm fighting against them, it's like, it's hard. Because I sat there, like my husband, he's a criminal. I sat there and I went to one of his trials. And I sat there and seen the judge give him time because of his appearance. He had tattoos and stuff. And he had a co-defendant. So they was like, oh, well, I don't think you was the mastermind behind this. But Mr. Wallace, I think you are. Because of your history. Why do you have a history? Because he was a black male in the city of Philadelphia. And that's all they do is take him out the homes and put him in these facilities. That's all they do. So my husband became a victim, and they criminalized him. And he's the victim. And he was taken away because they stripped him of his mind. They put you in a facility that strip you of your mind, your dignity. And he was just trying to survive out here. And I had his back every time. Took him away. It's like they took a part of me too, because it's like I'm just sitting here like y'all victimized him and made him a criminal, and y'all the fucking criminals. Y'all make people this way. And when he trying to do good and stuff, and he went to the police about a situation that happened, y'all didn't help him. Y'all laughed at him and kept using that background. Like, oh, well, you did this. So they basically tell him that they can't help him. But y'all take his life. Y'all been took his life. When y'all took him out his home from his mother, these judges, everything, they took his life years ago from a child. And then for him to still come out here and still want to be a part of this world was like unbelievable to me, because I'm like, why you want to stay in this city? I wanted him to leave. Like, well, how can you stay here? And it's like, before we were to move and stuff, he was taken away. And this is not how I wanted him to leave this city. And it hurt because we want that better life here. Now I just felt like I got stuck here. And it's like, they don't care. Everybody was all apologetic on TV and stuff like that. But behind them doors, behind these black doors, all that stuff, them dark ass hallways and stuff, some people are fucking evil. You're right. They're evil. And it's like I want to burn this shit down, but I gotta get out of here, because then I'll become a criminal, and I don't have a record. And that's what they want you to do, so they can be they can imprison you. And it's like, it's so unbelievable. I didn't know how bad this was until I became a part of it. And they forced us into this. That's Nobody right. called the police for y'all to come murder somebody. Like, and when we get murdered on these streets, y'all don't even come. So it's like this needs to change. This city does need to be burnt down and rebuilt by the community, because y'all like people are letting the government and stuff rebuild our communities. No, they making it for them. They're not making it for us. And in the Constitution and stuff like that, they say we the people. It's not us. It's the people with the money and all that stuff like that. That's the only way you get justice. So it's like we gotta stick together because all of us together, we can defeat them.
That's right.
That's right.
We say fight back. You know, it's like we hear about and we know about these things that transpire. And when ironically, I was at the encampment when I heard about what happened to Walt and we were decamping the encampment when we heard about what happened to Walt and went down there. You know, that night I didn't know Dom, I didn't know any members of the Wallace family at that time. And, you know, I already knew that it was terrible and fucked up, right? You don't have to know the person, but then you get to know the person, you get to know them, you get to know the people that love them, and they help you to know that individual that was lost. And it's another kind of reality that you experience as a result of that. You know, and you know, Dama is such a kind person, is such a giving person, and Walt was the person that she loved, and he also, in spite of the things that he went through, you know, he was so stand up. You know, when you look at the kinds of things that people do and do not choose to do, you know, and the choices that he made and the ways that he loved his family and he loved the children, you know. And so it's really important that, you know, it's not just an incident and it's not just a thing. Like, it's not just like we cannot let this be just another story amongst millions of stories. We have to remember and honor the life of Walter Wallace Jr. truly as a whole person and not just a movement figure, as a person who was loved intimately and is missed. So, Abdul, you ready to speak? Okay. So I'm going to bring Abdul Ali up, who is a comrade that I've begun to get to know and have been enjoying getting to know. And he's going to speak a bit, and I'll let you talk about what you're going to talk about and introduce it. Come on, y'all, come on.
Peace, peace. Peace.
Can you hear me?
It's working. You gotta work it.
Hello.
You gotta
Oh, is it working out? Peace.
eat that fucking mic. You know what I mean.
Come on, Cindy. It's my fellow Scorpio comrade right here. I'm talking about eat the mic.
Sorry.
That was good. That's a good one.
We need some laughter.
Yeah. I want to start by taking a deep breath. I'm going to take a deep breath, and I invite everyone who feels like they, can do that with me to do it with me. I think that's an appropriate place to start. I want to extend love and light to Dom. I see you, I hear you, I'm here for you, we're here for you.
We see you.
We see you.
We hear you.
Walter Wallace Jr. was murdered on my birthday, my 37th birthday. And Aunt was arrested within days of that, right? So I just want to make these connections because it's it's important to know about our stories, like Yane said, and know how we're connected to this. Lore, who's also arrested by the feds, who was tracked down during the uprising, is a friend of mine. So, long live Walter Wallace Jr. Long live Walter Wallace Jr.
Long live Walter Wallace Jr.
As I stand here right now, and my stomach is in knots, because, one, we're here to talk about Mumia, free Mumia, free Mumia.
Free Mumia.
And this event was named for Consuewella Africa. And I had, been a part of the uncovering of what happened to Consuella's daughters. And it's heavy. And this is heavy. I just want to name that. I'm having a little moment right here. I want to honor that, name it, let y'all know. I was asked to come here today to talk about what we know about what happened on May 13th and to offer some insight about how we were miseducated about the events that took place, not just on May 13th, 1985, but on May 12th, on Mother's Day that year, on Sunday, May 12th. And then 18 months prior to that. Move was surveilled, terrorized, imprisoned, murdered by the state. The bombing on May 13, 1985 was deliberate. Gregor Sambor, who was the police commissioner at the time, intended to kill everyone in that house. This is triggering to hear. Sorry, I have to say it. It's the truth. The police commissioner intended to kill everyone in that house that day. The day before, a car drove up to the barricade because at this point, the city was evacuating Osage and Pine, or trying to evacuate Pine Street, but evacuating Osage Avenue. And in that car were young people who were part of the MOVE family. And those young people were ushered by an agent of the state across the barricade when no one was able to pass this barricade, right? Young people, Tree, Netta, were among them. And so they knew very well what they wanted to do that day. The thing that we were miseducated about, not us, I'm not talking about us gathered here, I'm sure that folks here know that this was an intentional bombing, but I'm talking about society, talking about the news. It is that the lie is that this was a last resort, that this was, they could find no other tactic to evacuate their home than to drop a bomb, a satchel bomb, a combination of C4 and Tovex, which is a gel explosive intended for dirt and rock. That there was no other way to evacuate this home, which is a flat-out lie. For 18 months prior to that bombing, the bomb disposal unit of the Philadelphia Police Department, under the direction of Gregor Sambor, the police commissioner, Leo A. Brooks, the city managing director, and Officer Powell, Frank Powell, is the person you see in the video in the helicopter dropping a green satchel onto the home of MOVE. We're in Fairmount Park experimenting with making a weapon of war. For 18 months, they used Tovex C4 explosives on timber, to practice making a bomb specifically as a contingency for what they would do on May 13th. Leo A. Brooks has a military history, was a brigadier general. So does Gregor Sambour. They were excited to manage to make a bomb to use on moved people. It was deliberate. It was a conspiracy. Days prior to the bombing, the then Health Commissioner Aronson was told something huge is going to happen, something big is going to happen. So this is all terrorism, state violence. And so I'm coming here today to talk about that, to let us all know that there's so much to be uncovered here. But what we know is that the city intended to drop that bomb. What we know is that 2 bombs were dropped that day, 10,000 rounds of bullets shot into the home, shot down the alleyway, shot from Pine Street into the back of the house. We know that sharpshooters from the 78 Confrontation were present, were on Pine Street. We know that the people murdered that day were shot, as well as tear gassed, as well as burned. And there was no accountability. There was no accountability for what happened. And I want us to just sit with that. 11 people murdered, deliberate, shot. There's evidence of metallic material with the remains. There's evidence that there's shotgun pellets in the clothing of the people murdered. And why is that important? You can't shoot shotgun pellets through concrete, can you? Can you? So that points to what Blvd Africa said happened that day, which is people were trying to leave the home after the bombing, and they were shot back into the home. There's evidence on John Africa's body, on his clothing, that he was shot at. There's evidence that Delisha Africa was shot. No one was held accountable. And for 2 days, in the hot May sun, their remains laid there. 2 days. The city's response to the burning of the homes on Osage Avenue was to send in cranes to bring down the rest of the structures of the homes on that block 2 days after the bombing. They didn't create a perimeter. They didn't carefully gather remains of people who were murdered. They crushed bones. They mixed them up. And the only time they stopped to start to recover remains is when a neighbor sees a leg dangling from the sky, from the crane. Then the medical examiner intervenes and says, okay, we have to recover these remains. This is despicable. This is inhumane. It's disgusting. It's anti-black. It's all those things, right? They take their remains. They put them back on a coroner's truck. They take them to the medical examiner's office. And they allow 2 anthropologists, one grad student, Janet Monge, and a professor of bioanthropology, Alan Mann, who was a professor at the time, and Monge was his graduate student, to look and to hold and to investigate who these remains belong to. And then the commission happens, and there's 2 other investigations about the remains. At the end of all of this, they have identified everyone who was murdered. The families or representatives of families, because a lot of the family was incarcerated. And in some cases, the state buried the people murdered. The families believed that everyone was buried in 85 and 86. And in 2019, the remains of Tree Africa, Consuella's daughter, who was 14 at the time, are seen on a video being held by Janet Monge, used as instruction, used as a teaching device, when the family had no idea. She called Tree's bones juicy. This was on Coursera, which is an online teaching platform. The video was hosted by Princeton University. Thousands upon thousands of people watched her mishandle the desecrated remains of Tree. And the family had no idea. That makes me angry. For 36 years, 2 professors connected to Penn and Princeton shuffled these remains across state line, held them as trophies when the family thought they had buried their loved ones. This is real, this is deep, it's deep-rooted, this kind of state violence. And now we're here to say, rest in power, Consuella. Rest in power, Consuella, because of the brutal atrocity that befell Move people and continues to befall them. And so I'm here today in solidarity. I'm here to speak the truth. I'm here to shine a light. That's all I have.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you for that information. Again, it's important for us to really know the details of the fights that we are in support of. And so I appreciate that information. And so we're going to keep going. I appreciate y'all sticking here with us and being out here, so that we can get these important details and this important information out and just show solidarity and demonstrate and embody our solidarity with each other. This is kind of heavy, like the stuff that we're talking about, because we're dealing with the system, this same system, this anti-Black, despicable system, as described as the same system that dropped that bomb. It's the same system that's dropping bombs on babies in Palestine. It's the same system that's quiet and silent about what's going on in Haiti. It's the same system that is supporting a dictator in Uganda. It's the same system that's not speaking about what's going on in Nigeria. It's the same system that's trying to overthrow the revolution of Venezuela, and that is sanctioning Cuba, just like it sanctions our Black communities here and our indigenous communities here and our brown communities here. It's the same system. It is despicable, and it is going to stay despicable until we burn it down. It is not going to give us justice. We have to take justice. There is no justice from this system. There is no justice from this system. If we want justice, if we want freedom, then we have to take it. Next, we're going to bring up to speak about the contradictions of this holiday, our good brother Zaid, who came all the way down here from New York.
Check 1, 2. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Free Mumia.
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 Brick by brick,
Brick by
we gon' free.
Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Brick by brick,
Wall by wall.
we gon' free.
Mumia
Abu-Jamal. Brick by brick,
Wall by wall.
we gon' free.
Mumia Abu-Jamal.
This has been a heavy ass goddamn day. Do you hear what this young brother just said? Did y'all hear that shit? But let me say this to you, building on what this daughter said to you also. How many of y'all are under 40? How many of y'all are under 30? And y'all still here You might have just got here. Some of us have been waiting 40 years for you to come. I've gone from my 20s to my 60s in this shit. But you're here. And when you showed up, recognition happens. When you showed up, Frank Risso's statue was put in the garbage can of history. When you showed up, we started getting some victories in these racist courts for Mumia. When you showed up, crackers and pigs started peeing in their goddamn pants. You need to have them peeing in their pants. I am from the up south state of New Jersey. In its centennial of giving you the pleasure of racial profiling. The South. As long as you south of the Canadian border, you south. And then we find out what the hell these crackers in Canada did to our folks, an indigenous folks. You can't even talk about Canada no more like that. No. This is Philadelphia. July 4th weekend. Celebrating the Declaration of Independence. Let's break this shit down. This thing that they celebrate in fairy tale, the biggest fairy tale ever told, was the Declaration of Independence, and this emerges of this thing called democracy. As a consequence of that was the creation of this monster motherfucker called America. What this really was a beef between capitalists and slave traders over who was going to control this shit. Give you a little homework because I'm a history professor. There's a great scholar who wrote over 40 books by the name of Gerald Horne, right? Who gave you a book on 1776. Read that shit and pass it on down the line, on down the line, on down the line, because he flips the script on that fairy tale. America was about the expansion and the continuation of the slave trade in the West and the emergence of a system to uphold white supremacy like no one other out of all the mothers of white supremacy and colonialism has ever had before. And Malcolm said it best, and he said, we are living in a time of, in a science of image making, and no one has made the greater false image of white supremacy and the hypocrisy of democracy better than these blood-sucking United States. And the bastion of that is right here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, who gave you Frank Risso, the bull Connor of the North where he rests in peace, who dropped that bomb. They weren't playing. They were damn intentional. They weren't playing. Brotherly love kissed my ass with that shit. Where's my daughter? Come to me. She asked a question we have to answer her. How do we do this shit? Baby, it ain't easy. But that young man that you lost is now an ancestor. And I want you to climb up on his shoulders with your love and continue to stand up for him with the shine and love that comes through your heart. Just like this one right here. Right? And no. Let me, before I get to you, let me come back to, you know who's not here today, right? Y'all, my big sister, Pam Africa, is not here today, right? She went from her 30s to her 70s in this shit. And all this trauma we carrying got her blood pressure sky high. Medically dangerous to take her ass out of here. That's the only thing that would make her pull back, right? Pam climbed up on the shoulders of her comrade Consuewella and became the minister of Confrontation. We all stand up on all those ancestors, all those rebellious ancestors, right? Yesterday was the anniversary of the Amistad takeover. Oh yeah, that was that shit. The ancestors took their stuff and dug it into them crackers and put them in the damn sea. Oh yes, all that blood in the Atlantic, as the side said, ain't all ours, right? We climb on the shoulders of our ancestors, seeking to finish their fight for freedom and for justice that they didn't receive. And we have the obligation to continue for as long as necessary until that mission is completed. They never gave up. God damn it, you don't even have the right to even contemplate giving up. Right? So you understand why you're here, I hope. This is not just a feel-good session. And we're not just hanging out because of something cool to do on the 4th that's kind of rad. No bullshit like that. Our very lives are on the line with this. Mumia went to prison in 1981. And what they do while we're trying to gather, just as we're on the verge of busting this shit open in the court, they snatch one of our babies. That's what Ant is all about. Ant found his voice on these streets for Mumia Abu-Jamal. Let me give you a witness for those of you who are church-minded Negroes, right? I was laughing at y'all about the chants in the meeting the other day, right? One of his first marches for Mumia, he ready to give me. I said, no, son, we've been waiting for you. You do this today. Ant. It went through me like a knife when I heard they took that young man into captivity. And whenever the drum is called to pack the court for that young soldier, y'all better turn it the fuck up and turn out. Huh? Oh, yeah. You are the ones we have been waiting for. So Yanni, right? I see you standing on Pam's shoulders, right? Because this is the shit Pam would be doing. She sounds like Pam. You can't cuss no better than Pam Africa. That's how ministers of confrontations roll. Huh? Thank you, baby. We love you for that shit. All right. So let me just whine. We love you. We need you. Right? Do not be discouraged by this shit. This shit is supposed to inspire you to stop it. We're here to stop this shit. We're here to stop police shooting up babies down in the street like dogs. We're here to stop. We're here to disarm this empire that destroys villages in Palestine and villages in West Philadelphia. Huh? We're here to stop this shit. And ain't nobody else with the capacity on this earth right now to do that than those of us who, as Jose Marti said, who are inside the monster. Oh yeah, baby, we've been waiting for y'all. And some of us trying to hold on for as long as we can to help y'all get it right. Chris, I got your back. It's because of people like you, Chris, that I got here today. This heat tore my old ass up. Feet and legs swole up. Shit never happened to me. And that's a sign of kidney disease. So shit I ain't never faced. But I gave my word that I would be here today to y'all. Right? Pam would be here. She would be here. Mona, we are not going to lose Mona to shit. And let's be clear. Somebody said this is a trauma laden. Trauma killed Consuewella. Right. Look at all the shit she had to carry. Then to find out they playing fucking movable chess pieces with her damn child's bones. That took her out of here. Ain't but so much an individual can take. But this is not a fight of the individual. This is a fight for the people trying to change the world, to save the earth that belongs to the people. That's right. Not to the pig, not to the bloodsucker, not to the extraction capitalist, not to the real estate mogul. It belongs to the people. And the people look like you, me, us. We gonna do this shit, y'all? Yeah. Are we gonna do this shit? Yeah. Are we gonna do this shit? Yeah. Are we gonna do this shit? Yeah. Free Mumia. 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 On behalf of my comrades who are not here, and she mentioned some of them, the Maroon Schultz, 49 years in prison. On behalf of Sundi Adakoli, consequence of my up south state, 48 years. And you can't make this shit up. For all of our Panther comrades who have been locked up for damn near 50 years, some more than 50. We just lost Chip Fitzgerald, who's in his 52nd year, right? We need y'all to carry this on, right? Do your best work. Principle and discipline matters. And anybody who comes amongst you starting shit, breaking your principle, and you know they the pig. Be clear on that, all right? All power to the people.
All power to the
All
people.
power to the people.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.
All
We love
power
you.
to the people.
We love you. We'll see you in the world.
No power to these pigs.
No power to these pigs.
You know, I was thinking about, you know, Dom talked about how these cops are the criminals, and Brother Zaid mentioned Ant, so I think it's a perfect time to do that Ant chant. The pigs in my hood
ain't no good.
The pigs in your hood
Ain't no good.
The pigs in our hood
Ain't no good.
The pigs in your hood
Ain't no good.
So don't arrest me.
Arrest the police.
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 No, because the pigs in our hood
Ain't no good.
The pigs in your hood
Ain't no good.
The pigs in our hood
Ain't no good.
The pigs in our hood
Ain't no good.
So don't arrest me.
Arrest the police.
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 Free Ant.
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 If they try to take him, what are we gonna do? We gonna burn that shit the fuck down. We gonna burn it down and not taking no more of our siblings, and we gonna get our people out, and it's time to liberate all of them, all of our people. Free Ant.
Free Ant.
So we're going to have two last speakers. The next is our sister Betsy, who's going to speak to y'all a little about the connection to WHYY. When we were going to march over to WHYY, we were going to march over to Wolf's office, and we were going to end up at the Liberty Bell. We did all of it here, but each of those locations had significance. And so now we're going to hear from Betsy, who's going to explain the significance of WHYY.
Thank you, Netta. I just want to share something that before I start. And Saeed was talking about longevity in the movement. This banner is probably older than a lot of you here. This was one of the ones from the 1990s. But it is really great to see all the young people here, and I mean all of you, including the ones in Mommy's arms still, because we need you. The media, we get a lot of the stuff that we're supposed to know about society and our political prisoners and wars and all the rest through corporate media. You can't get away from it, unless you burn your TV, turn off your radio, don't look at newsstands. But one of the most despicable media sources, and I'm going to be real about this, is the one that's called public radio. Public radio. WHYY. Supposed to be public radio. But you look at who funds it. You look where it started. It started really as a project of the Radio Free Europe, I believe. It was started as a U.S. military project. That's where the roots of national public radio come from. Let's be real about that. Now, there are some things that are carried on WHYY and NPR that are progressive. Mumia was a reporter for WHYY back in his day and was probably the most progressive reporter they ever had. But we know, the more intense this capitalist crisis becomes, the more we see the movement of the right, the more we see corporate America dictating everything. We know that they are dictating what goes on in stations like WHYY. We know they do, And you look at the coverage, for example, of Palestine, and you see, how they always give voice to the Israeli occupiers, and they rarely, if ever, give voice to the Palestinians until the Palestinians are out in the streets, like we were by the thousands a couple of weeks ago, in protest. And then they had to notice, and then they had to pay attention. But we particularly wanted to stop by WHYY because of something they did back in March. Back in March of this year, we learned that Mumia's health was in a serious crisis. It's been in a serious crisis for a while, but particularly because he was experiencing chest pains and he had been tested negative for COVID. Then it turned out he tested positive. And then we found out through his doctor, Dr. Ricardo Alvarez, that Mumia had congestive heart disease, heart failure. Now, he is 66 years old, 67. Yeah. Serious conditions for anybody, but particularly somebody who is incarcerated in the hellhole called Pennsylvania prisons. You know, especially in the middle of COVID. And in the middle of all this, where his family really didn't know, wasn't able to talk to him, wasn't able to really visit, they couldn't visit him, couldn't find out the conditions he was under, Pam and other people started getting calls from a reporter from WHYY. I can't think of her name right now. It's really not relevant. But she was calling because she was asked to get information for this People's Public Radio station to write Mumia's obituary. Think about that. They had already figured out he's gone. You know, we'll just write his obituary. And the disgusting thing about that, you know, is that they thought it was okay. They thought it was okay for them to do this. This station that had barely given Mumia any progressive coverage for the last 40 years. It's only, again, and it's only when the movement is out there demonstrating, you know, in front of them, when the movement is out in the streets, that then they begin to say, oh, we better pay attention to this. And I also want to go back, as other speakers have done, and credit the tremendous movement, last year's historical movement, you know, over the death of George Floyd and around Black Lives Matter. You know, where every city in the U.S. and many around the globe, the streets of our cities were filled with people in protest against police terror, you know, calling for the abolition of police and calling for the abolition of prisons as well. And what that movement did is I think it gave some courage to some young Black and brown reporters for some of these corporate media outlets to begin to question their editors, whom mainly were all white men, and say, you're not covering our communities. We want you to cover our communities. And I raise this not because that's necessarily changed the focus of a lot of corporate media, but it does show the impact that our movement can have. Our movement can have. It can give courage to young journalists who never thought they would have the nerve to question a racist, you know, white supremacist editor. You know? And if we can do that in this movement, we can damn well bring Mumia home. You know, and I know we can. I know we can. You know, I'm one of the people here who has 10 years on, so you know. I hate to say it. But the movement keeps you young. That is the thing. This movement keeps you young. It keeps you energized, and it gives you courage and conviction that we will win. We will win. So keep struggling, keep being active, don't stop. You know, and one quick thing, and Johanna mentioned, you know, that we want to demand to bring back Judge Tucker. People may not remember, but when Mumia went up for his post-conviction relief hearings in the 1980s, they brought back Judge Sabo, who was in retirement, you know, who's a member of the Fraternal Order of Police. If they could do that, we can demand, damn right have a right to demand that they bring back Tucker. So let's make that one of our demands. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. Betsy and I, we see each other a lot in person and on Zoom. So the last person we want to hear from y'all, again, we mentioned this massive puppet at the beginning that is just so amazing. It's just so good. And, you know, so we want to hear from the person who had the vision and the fortitude to get that done. And so let's hear from Jackie. Oh, okay. So come on, Jackie, and then we'll Olivia.
Okay, I'm a little shy. I'm usually at the meetings, I say very little. First of all, I want to send love, support to Consuewella, who is now an ancestor. I want to send love, support to Ramona and Pam, and you're in my prayers. You are in my prayers, and I want you all to keep them in your prayers and really pray, because this is some heavy shit, real heavy shit. Now, Mumia, Prince, warrior king. I made this giant puppet for you. Yes, you. Now, why a puppet? Some may ask. Puppets are for kids. No, way beyond childhood playing. You have to understand that. This puppet is transformative. You understand? This puppet takes you to realities that you can never imagine. Because see, Mumia is not in prison. He is free. Okay? So that when you have in your mind that this man is free, he will physically be free. Free. We live in a metaphysical, spiritual world. They do not control anything. It is the creator, it is the ancestor, it is all that. And when you understand where the real power comes from, you understand that the height of a giant puppet is spiritual. And you bring it with you, and you let it flow through the streets, and you let it be seen a mile away, so that a little baby or the elders in justice who bring the oppression, they can see it, and they can start to think, and start to wonder. You have to understand, we are human beings. We are not fixed evil creatures. Every human being can be changed. And I want to transform people with puppetry. I want them to think. I want them to know that Mumia is a human being. Just like their son, their daughter, their grandchild, whomever. Love him. Find him. He is innocent. But see, they see him as some monster, some bear, some vulture, whatever. But he is human. And they have to understand, he is innocent. And he will give us freedom. Imagine you sitting in jail. You, young man, you, young, innocent. Could you last that long? Would you kill yourself? That's what they hope. See, strong. He's real strong. See, the body can get weak and tired. But see, that's where metaphysics and God and love and you come in. You have to keep on. You got to keep sending him love and support. And let him know, we love you, Mumia. It's going to be okay, and you will get your freedom. You will get your freedom. So, like, send him love. Say, Mumia, we love you.
We love you.
We love you.
We love you.
We support you.
We support you.
You are coming home.
You are coming home.
God bless all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your words and for your art and for the spirit as well. So we have a call to the people. Olivia's going to come up and she's going to make a request of you. So come on up.
Food not bombs, solidarity.
No.
I know, it makes sense. Okay. Hey everyone. First I just want to say thank you for having me. I'm usually on the other side of the microphone, and I can't even speak to how grateful I am to be in this community, to learn from the people in this space.
Grateful to have you.
It's an honor. Free Mumia!
Free Mumia!
Free Ann!
Free Ann!
Free them all!
Free them all!
I've just come here to talk about what comes next. When Governor Wolf finishes his quote-unquote vacation weekend, when he's back in office on Tuesday, our expectation is that he cannot ignore our demands. That he cannot ignore Mumia, because Mumia's health is in a serious crisis still. And the only reason that Mumia has gotten the care that he has received so far is because of the people. It's because of our phone calls.
That's right.
It's because of our actions.
That's right.
So we need to continue the pressure.
That's right.
Mumia needs an increased exercise opportunities.
Yes.
He needs a healthier diet
Yes.
if he will live.
Yes.
The only way that Mumia can survive is with those demands. We need the people to call Governor Wolf on Tuesday. First thing in the morning, mid-afternoon, right before closing.
All damn day.
All
Lunch
day.
hour.
Lunch hour, thank you. Lunch hour, 12:30, 1:30, every half hour. Facebook, Instagram, and lastly, demand his freedom. Governor Wolf has the power to pardon Mumia Abu-Jamal. We can't forget that Governor Wolf holds the keys in a major way. We can bypass the legal system simply with Governor Wolf's okay. So please, I'm going to ask everyone to please take out your phone. I'll wait.
Got it.
Yeah. It's Shabbat. I don't even have my phone, but it's, so the number is 717.
Well, I have him on
And so
speed
let's do
dial.
like a repeat after me kind of thing, so then we can just really get
Mic
717.
check.
787.
787.
2500.
2500.
Extension 3.
Extension 3.
Do it again.
And one more time. 717.
717.
787.
787.
2500.
2500.
Extension 3.
Extension 3.
Please, and
Got
have Tuesday please be a beginning. Tuesday is the beginning of a concerted effort to continuously remind Governor Wolf that we cannot be ignored and that Mumia is coming home. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go Scorpio.
Thank y'all. So to end, we would like to get a group picture with the puppet and the mural. If those who are controlling the puppet have the capacity to move it here, then we can all gather in front of the puppet and mural, and Joe can get our picture. All right, so we can the puppet and mural, and Joe can get our picture. All right, so we can. Down the streets. That was the plan, and we're still going to do that in the future. So.
All right.
Yeah, but we're moving it right where y'all are. We're moving it right there. So you got to come over. Sis, you got to come over.
Yeah, we're gonna spin it around. We need help moving that. We're gonna slide it back. Yep. Slide it back. Slide it back.
right, y'all, let's get in the picture.
Get in the picture.
Tell me what the motherfuckers do in your city. Do they build a belly? And they on their riders, squatters in their head. They be shitting on them panties in their leg. Like it Philly, light it up. Light it up. Light it up, tear it down. Light it up, tear it down. See the walls of Jericho, let them ripple all around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 9, 10, 11, 12. Up 12. If we aim, we can't miss. Cause these pigs, they kill our kids. They can't have it their way. No more. Time to say, fuck 12. That's why we say, fuck 12. We can't bow down to these schools, filling up the cages out of our schools, keeping niggas hungry, food just out of reach. They say we illegal, niggas gonna eat. We don't care you mad, we taking these streets. Nigga, you ain't free till everybody's free. Time to pick a side, cause shit is getting real. Raise your fist with me, see how good that shit feel. Light it up. Light it up. Light it up. Tear it down. Tear it down. Light it up. Tear it down. Tear it down. What the fuck them motherfuckers do in your city? They be putting in work in that. They be on that. Then that. Are they running down the wall?